Welcome back to another FPL reaction stream for Double Gameweek 37. We'll be looking ahead to the final Double Gameweek of the season, the penultimate one as well, and talking about Gameweek 36. There's one game left, Crystal Palace versus Man United. I got over 200 points by an FPL challenge. However, it's something, you know. If only I could divide some of these points and put them into my normal team, that would be great. But I'll talk about how I did very shortly in FPL. There was one major decision I made which resulted in a red arrow. It's going to be very unlikely for me to salvage a green unless Man United keep a clean sheet against Crystal Palace. So pretty much it's not going to happen, is it? But in FPL challenge, I captain Haaland, and of course in this game week it's a point. Was it what, 2 points for every shot? And yeah, a lot of these players, everyone actually did well. Ortega was in goal. I forgot to change that, but Raya will come on as an auto sub, and that's 207 points all locked in. There's probably going to be a few people, hundreds of people in fact, who have got a better score, but it should be right up there in terms of the best FPL challenge scores throughout the world, perhaps. But maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. At least there was something. But let's go to my FPL team, and it's nowhere near as good. And as you'll see here, Harry Maguire, by the way, he's not going to play. Dallo will come on for him because Maguire is out for the next couple of weeks and he's a doubt for the FA Cup final against Man City. I started Edison over Petrovic. That was a 4-point swing against me, but the biggest one, losing out on 16 points, was captaining Foden instead of Haaland. And throughout the season, I think Foden has been the go-to Man City player, but in the last couple of weeks, Haaland has been sharp. I don't think anyone expected 4 goals. The 2 penalties obviously helped, and the first one, I have to say, wasn't a penalty, but it was given. And once that was the case, I just knew I was in for a long afternoon. But beyond that, pretty decent showings, and actually Jackson is saving my FPL team. He got 16 points after the bonus points are going to be added. Dan Burn blanked once again towards the end of the game. Burnley score a consolation goal. Edison has been an absolute disaster. Going for him over Gvardiol has cost me around 20 points at least, which is a big shame. Gabriel got a bonus point despite playing quite poorly. Had a goal ruled off. It was an amazing goal, but it was offside. Phil Foden got an assist, thankfully, but it was still nowhere near enough. Heung-min Son scored a consolation goal. We just refreshed that, by the way. It says 1 point still. He did get 7 in the end. Cole Palmer also with 8. No bonus points for him, I believe. Anthony Gordon with an assist, and he also came off just before Newcastle's clean sheet was wiped out, so an extra point for him there. Isak scored and assisted, but also missed a penalty, so this game week had everything. But Erling Haaland scoring 4 times, those that went against him for the captaincy, it just backfired massively. And yeah, those that went for Foden and De Bruyne will be kicking themselves, but it is what it is. It will be typical now for those 2 players to do very well in Double Gameweek 37, whilst the vast majority of us captain Erling Haaland. But in the form he's in, very hard to go against the Norwegian robot, which is a shame. I would like a bit more diversity with the captaincy, but there we go. And yeah, I've literally got Dadlow coming on for me. For Harry Maguire, that's my only player remaining and my only chance of salvaging a green arrow, which is extremely unlikely. But let's get straight into your questions and comments as always. And thank you to those that are tuning in. Smash the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe if you're new. So let's see. Trenick says, horrible game week for me, captain Foden and took out Salah for a -4. Still managed 87 points. Still pretty decent. Probably not too far off a red arrow. So if you've got a Bruno Fernandes, maybe United defender, you never know. Chelsea has finished, says, sold Son for Bowen. Didn't have Haaland and didn't have Salah, the pain. Yeah, to be honest, the vast majority of us didn't have Salah. The only ones that would have some regrets there is if you just sold him. But I kept saying to people, actually, the one thing I got right with my recommendations is Salah against Tottenham. I think he's going to start and do very well. And actually, you might be well surprised to hear this. Salah didn't get a single bonus point for today. I think it was Gakpo, Robertson and Harvey Elliott. Salah definitely got robbed there. 75 points with Anana yet to play, KDB captain. Yeah, I'm very surprised with KDB and Foden. Very underwhelming. But it is what it is. Sometimes you get it spot on and sometimes you look like a fool. But yeah, Nana can get some save points at least. I just have no confidence whatsoever in Dallo. And of course, Harry Maguire is now injured, as I'll get onto very shortly. KDB captain. Yeah, I'm surprised in the live chat up until this point, a lot of people captain KDB and Foden. But yeah, unfortunately, so many people in the top 100k and even in the top million captain Erling Haaland. Swapping Haaland captain to KDB last minute for the big punt, but instant regrets his way, saying, yeah, I remember, I think it was Twisted Parky who made me realise and reminded me that Haaland scored a hat-trick last season against Wolves at home. And that already made me think, oof, I might actually have to change it to Haaland. But I wanted to stand my ground and go different, and I got burned by it. But it's not a big deal. It's a red arrow by around 10, 15,000 places, but it would be a good green arrow if I'd captained Haaland. There's no denying that. And I'd be very close to the top 100k. And with the bench boost, I'd almost certainly be in it after Gameweek 37. So now I've got a bit more work to do, and I've got to get Gameweek 38 spot on as well. JP says, best free defenders for bench boost 37. Well, Gavardio is definitely the best one. I'm hoping he's benched if I don't go for him in the end, but I think I'm just going to have to buy him and either jinx or get some points from him. But in terms of the best free defenders that you don't have, you're not really sport for choice, are you? I think Arsenal defenders are still right up there, but I'd probably say Dalot, maybe Dan Burn, and a third defender, Cucurella perhaps. But if you've got Petrovic or you've got the likes of Jackson and Palmer, you might not have that Chelsea spot left, and it's not worth taking hits to kind of undo that. But yeah, I think those three would spring to mind. Simply because I think that if KDB will have a brace of assists, but then I never think that the one that would score his assist is Haaland. Yeah, but the thing is, no one expected Haaland to score 4 goals, and if they're saying that, they're probably lying. And the 2 penalties certainly helped. I think the second one, well, was a penalty, but the first one, I mean, that's very fortunate. It shouldn't have been given as a penalty in the first place. That opened up the game immediately. But Wolves already showing some signs of being very open in that game. They're always going to lose that, but they got a helping hand there. And Erling Haaland, for me, on his day, is absolutely lethal. And this is his biggest return of the season. So if you didn't go for him, you'll be kicking yourself. Took your advice and sold 8 nearer to Gavardio, but took out Salah for Foden for a -4. Yeah, I think I remember that. I was very apprehensive about doing it, but I think ultimately Foden will pay off, especially in Gameweek 37. But yeah, in most cases, I did tell people to keep Salah. What I got wrong was recommending Foden and KDB as the best captains. Forgot about deadline day, was planning Foden for Salah and captaining him, left the captaincy on Haaland and got 115 points with Mateta left to play. 200k rank for the first time in my life. Great to hear, Barry. And yeah, sometimes forgetting about the deadline can be a blessing in disguise. That's never the case for me, but I'm glad to hear that I did the job for you. Saka and non-double Arsenal owners punishing us once again. Well, that's the problem, right? But look, think about it the other way. If you didn't wildcard recently and load up on Chelsea, you wouldn't have had Petrovic maybe or a Jackson up front. So it swings and roundabouts. You can't get everything spot on. And Arsenal fighting for the title. They've been great all year. And I think in 2024, they're basically on course for 102 points, basically. If they kept this form for a 38-game period, they'd be on 102 points. It's insane what they're doing. And yeah, it's always going to be risky to go without Saka. And to be honest, Arsenal shouldn't have had a penalty there. I think it was a very soft one, and therefore Saka owners and captainers were quite fortunate as well. And the same goes for Haaland. Best one out of these three, Neuer, Casillas, Buffon, in your opinion? Well, my favourite growing up was Casillas. I think in his prime he was insane. But Buffon's longevity, I think, is probably the most impressive of the three. Manuel Neuer, though, also a bit revolutionary in terms of goalkeeping. I think they all have their plus points, all World Cup winners. The only non-Champions League winner is Buffon, but you can't really take that away from him. They're all legendary. Best one, if I had to pick, I'm going to go for Casillas, but maybe a bit of nostalgia. I also think for Spain, he was integral to the World Cup win and the 2 Euro tournaments. I really think so. So I'd probably go for Casillas, but honestly, you can make a case for any of them. I think they're all very close. What are your thoughts on Enzo? Chelsea playing better without him, perhaps? I think that's a bit harsh. I see what you're saying. I mean, since he's been out of the team, Chelsea are, getting some big results, but I think there's a bit more to it. That 5-0 against Arsenal definitely worked something up in Chelsea, and they've been inverting Cucurella into the midfield and sometimes bombing forward, and that's really helped as well. So I think Chelsea have ironed out a few tactical details, and at the moment, yeah, Enzo has had a poor season, but let's not forget when he first joined Chelsea, he was putting in some very good performances very consistently. It's just, I think this season he's kind of tailed off a little bit, and Chelsea have been very poor. Never sell Salah or a top asset for a hit. Yeah, but for example, I mean, sometimes, FPL, there's no formula. I get what you're saying. I completely agree with you, but yeah, it's just in FPL, you never know, and sometimes you need a lot of luck to go your way. 207, damn good challenge score there. Yeah, it's a shame my FPL score wasn't great. I mean, it's a very high-scoring week, but it's a bad week to get it wrong with the captaincy. Curious Robin says, hi Dylan, sell Saka to Son for a -4. Look, as good as Saka has been, I probably would for Gameweek 37, because with Saka, he might get a goal against United. He's got a good record against them, but I just don't see a ceiling being that high. But I think Son against Burnley and Man City can do very well. Not to mention in Gameweek 38, he's facing the worst team in the league. And you can always buy Saka back, maybe for Bruno Fernandes or somebody else at around a similar price whilst keeping Son. So my answer would be yeah. Maguire and Van Hecke sell. Definitely. Maguire's out for 3 weeks. I think Van Hecke is out for the rest of the campaign as well. So thank you to Stupaki. That's all sorted now. Yeah. Tio says 10 out of 11 returns, -8 transfer, Palmer captain, 1 player left to play tomorrow, and I'm just on a red arrow by only 7 points. Real goats are the ones not captaining Haaland and almost on a green. Yeah, I'm also, I think 5-6 points away from a green arrow, but look, it's always worth a trial, right? And it's worth going a bit different. This season, I've said it so many times, the template captain has been quite disappointing on most occasions, and that's why I was quite surprised to see Haaland so high up in effective ownership. And yeah, you just got to take on the chin. And I think captaining Foden, KDB and Palmer were good decisions, just a bad outcome. Had Region, who got 8-pointer. Yeah, he's been great recently. I still have a bone to pick with him because of Gameweek 29, but he's been in great form. Play Region, Zabani or double Arsenal defence against United. I'd personally play double Arsenal defence. That's the way I'd go about it. But Region's in great form, to be fair. I wouldn't mind starting him and 1 Arsenal defender. Yet Maguire is injured, so Dalla will come on for me. And shortly after the stream is done, Maguire will be yellow flagged. Hey bro, remember last stream I told you about? I had a really good feeling about Haaland and I captained him. Yeah, that's fair play, godsend. And yeah, he looked really sharp against Nottingham Forest. And once Twisted Parky reminded me that he scored a hat-trick against Wolves last time out, I was like, yeah, that is true. But it is what it is. I stood my ground and it just didn't pay off in the end. Chelsea back-to-back clean sheets, by the way. Yeah, Chelsea have been impressive recently. And I'm quite surprised because I did say after Arsenal, I only see 1 or 2 clean sheets for Chelsea, but they've been great recently. Transfer out Dubravka, now Pope is back on the bench. Yeah, it's not something I'd want to do for a hit, but it might well be worth it. My gut feeling is that Pope starts 1 and Dubravka the other, but I could be wrong. I got 96, Eze left. 100 points is possible, especially with the way United defend. No Haaland at all, says Matt's Collectibles. Lost £500 chance in the league, dropped from 2nd to 5th, so no chance of being top 3 in the mini-league. Well, hopefully you can somehow revert that situation, but yeah, it's a bit gutting, I think, sometimes where, you know, all season the template captaincy pick has been quite underwhelming, and then one of the few times you go against him, Haaland goes ballistic with 4 goals and 2 of them being penalties, but it is what it is. When you go against this type of player, there's always that risk. It was me about Haaland, says Twisted Parky. Yeah, that is true. Sell or keep Gusto? I think he's a sell, but of course, if you still have him until this point, wait for more updates. He was on the bench today, but I think it's probably worth selling him in the end. I don't think he starts both games in Gameweek 37. Yeah, the one time I decided to go different and captain Palmer instead of Haaland, I get punished. The other time I can remember this season was when I captained Watkins, and he got 8 points, he got 2 assists on his birthday. I think it was literally New Year's Eve. Then on the 1st of January, Salah goes and gets a 16-pointer, and I think that resulted in a red arrow, or it definitely minimized my green. And yeah, basically the 2 times I've gone against the template, I've been punished. So yeah, if you kind of call me a boring manager with my captaincy picks, that's probably why. Me, May, City play against Wolves, someone scoring 4 goals. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, look, with City's remaining fixtures, they're facing 3 off-form teams. Fulham have 2 wins and 9. Spurs have 4 losses in a row. And you've got West Ham, who have been battered by Chelsea 5-0, and they've been awful in the last couple of weeks. But I still think Spurs could stop City, at least get a draw, but I'm not going to expect it. I'm just going to, you know, go in with no expectation, and if something happens, I'll be delighted. But Arsenal still have a big job to do against Man United and Everton. That Son goal hurt me. It didn't hurt me, but that's the difference there. Would have been 17k without it. Hope Bruno gets around 8 points on Monday. Yeah, I wish you the best thing, but I'm not going to lie. Bruno getting points on my bench would be quite devastating because it would be Petrovic and Bruno with points. Obviously not going with Haaland captain. I do wish you the best though. And it's good to see a bit of variation with some players, but unfortunately the captaincy was so template. One with Isak captain, no Haaland, no Salah, the pain is real. Yeah, and Isak has a great penalty record, but he missed this time round. It is a big shame, isn't it? It really is. But at least he got a goal and assist. Do you think top 10k is possible, 20 points away? Definitely. There's Gameweek 37, if you've got the bench boost, it almost certainly is possible. And Gameweek 38, there is a lot of variation and big swings. You just have to get the transfers spot on, and you need some luck on your side there. I'm happy Gusto to start. Now I'm planning to change Mateta to Jackson, and for keeper at first, I want to get Petrovic, but now I'm not sure since I have Jackson, Palmer, and Gusto. Yeah, I get what you're saying there. Petrovic has been amazing recently. I thought West Ham would score, but Chelsea would win. I definitely didn't expect 5-0, but there you go. Goes to show what I know. Yeah, Petrovic has been great recently, but your trio is good. Soon as Haaland scored in my mini league, said he might just be warming up, looked like he might haul, but going for other players has an upside. Yeah, it could be in Gameweek 37 that Haaland is quite underwhelming, and it's Foden and De Bruyne popping up. It's kind of typical there. Is it worth to sell Son to Richarlison? I wouldn't do it personally. Son has a good record against Burnley, and he also does quite well against Man City. Typically at home, I wouldn't sell Son. I know Richarlison looked very sharp today, but Son for me is still one of the best options in Gameweek 37 and 38. Yeah, I would still sell Salah to Son, but I always said in Gameweek 36, if possible, keep Salah, but away to Aston Villa, while Son has a double, I'm going to favour Son all day long. 95 points with 2 left, still a pesky red arrow. Yeah, at 2k, I mean, to have 95 points and have a red arrow is insane, but it goes to show the fine margins there. Didn't know today's results. Salah, Son 7, Palmer 8. Results until coming in here. Left captain on Salah, so interested to hear. Yeah, Salah got a big return and somehow no bonus points, which is a big shame. He got a goal and 2 assists. For me, he deserved at least 2 bonus points, but it is what it is. Chelsea might qualify for Europe this season. They've got some good fixtures left. They've gone through that rough patch facing the likes of Arsenal. They've won 2 London derbies on the spin, and now they've got, yeah, decent fixtures to round off the season. I could see them winning 2 and drawing 1, maybe losing 1, but definitely they've got it in their hands. Would you do Neto to Petrovic for a -4? Yeah, I would. Now, I prefer making a -4 hit for a midfielder or forward, but I think that's pretty decent. I saw Gusto and Disasi play today. Is Thiago Silva spot safe for double Gameweek phase 7? The thing is with Thiago Silva, he has been rotated a lot this season, and he's had a few injury problems. Do I expect him to start both in 37? Maybe not. He almost certainly will in Gameweek 38, his final game for Chelsea, but yeah, I don't think so. And by the way, a minor correction to what I said earlier. Yeah, Gusto, of course, yeah, he was on the bench and he got some minutes. I mean, not really a correction, but just to clarify, he did get minutes off the bench today. I'm just not sure if he starts both matches in double Gameweek 37. Thank you to those that have been tuning in. Smash the like button if you haven't already. And let's actually do a shout out to channel members and patrons. I gifted 10 on Friday during the deadline stream. So let's actually give a shout out to all of them. So John Granquist, who's been a member for many years now, thank you very much. George Popescu, Alex Leadham, Gabriel Fernandez, That Air, Bestie, to Keith as well as always, Ulises, Lavenier, Joao Cabral, Simon Spears, Farhad, Jazabi, Aman, Maro Rodriguez, Unruly DMV, Exotic Log, Daniel, Rishi, Gabriel R, Nathama, Ventislav, Kenny Silvera, Birkan, Chenny, Punjabi, Ananda Peroni, also to Adivaho. Hopefully I haven't butchered any names, by the way. If I have, I do apologize sincerely, and be sure to enlighten me and correct me with my pronunciations. Twisted Parky 06, Shivane Roy, Gary, Natalie S, and Chelsea is finished, although they might not be too finished right now. Linus K, William Pritchard, Mohammed, and Waiseng. Also to Nikhil Patel, Alex Orlov, Andres Suarez, Luis Alexander, Rodrigo Urias, and Federico Caliso. A big up to all of you for supporting the channel. And let's get this stream to 100 likes nice and early. It'd be greatly appreciated as always. And before I go back to your questions, I'm going to go for a few different screens and relive the trauma that is Gameweek phase 6 for me. But first off, Tottenham are top of the FDR for the rest of the season. Only 2 Gameweeks left. They've got a double in 37 and a plum fixture away to Sheffield United to round off the campaign. Brighton, Man City, Newcastle, Chelsea, Man United, all the doublers in 37 are in the top 6 for the fixture ticker. If we look at the bottom 5, we've got Brentford, Fulham, West Ham, Aston Villa, and Everton. In terms of predicted points, the Norwegian robot is up front with 15.5. Isak is second. Then we've got Foden, De Bruyne and Palmer in the top 5. Garnacho, Jackson, Gordon, Fernandes and Gross complete the top 10. I think Bruno's quite low down because of the injury situation. Once that is kind of cleared, I think he'll play tomorrow. He should be good and probably well into the double-digit haul. As for player price changes, Gordon, Burn, Jackson, Pedro Porro, Walker, Palmer, Cucurella and Petrovic could all go up in price tonight, if not later this week. McAllister, Joe Gomez, McTominay, Udogie, Gusto and Emi Martinez are set for a price decrease very soon. If you're not aware, I covered this towards the beginning of the stream. Harry Maguire has sustained an injury. I don't know why I saw ankle. That will rule him out for about 3 weeks. Now, he's going to be fighting to be fit for the FA Cup final against Man City. But I've personally got Dalot coming in for Maguire, so not a big difference there. I've got 2 free transfers, and the plan is to buy Gvardiol for Maguire and Onana for Ederson. Pretty sideways, you could argue, but Gvardiol's gone like 20 more points than Ederson in the last 2 weeks. Let's not talk about that too much. And Draft Town are recommending to buy Gvardiol for Dalot, but very soon they will be recommending Maguire out for Gvardiol. And I think they'll update Foden's points and he won't be recommended on the sell list. But they are also considering the likes of Johnson and Morris, which I don't agree with. But I think Gvardiol, of course, is a great shout. And I said this in the last couple of weeks, the reason why I didn't go for him is because I thought he would be benched in one of the remaining games. And I looked at Gameweek Phase 7 as the most likely, but he's playing so far up, and of course, like I said earlier, for me it wasn't a penalty, but he's in those positions to win them, and he's been in great goal scoring and assisting form recently, particularly in FPL. Let's now go through the most captain player, and it will be of no surprise to any of you to see Haaland captained by 70% of managers in the top 100k. I believe before this game week started, it was 60% of managers, and a lot of those that captain him have entered the top 100k. As a result, Palmer was second with 10%, Foden third, I'm one of them of course, but not in the top 100k, and the main reason why is because I captained Foden and not Haaland. Isak fourth and Saka in fifth. A lot of returns flying around, but not enough to rival Erling Haaland this week. And Nicholas Jackson, by the way, fair play to those that captain him, 0.04% of those in the top 100k, 16 points by Jackson, who's been in great form in the last couple of weeks. But let's be honest, he should have been sent off a few weeks ago against Arsenal, and he would have missed those games where he did big hauls. But I'm not complaining because he's been saving my ass in FPL. I don't know why I said it in an American way, but there we go. Let's go to FPL.team. And this could be my bench boost team. I've only got 0.1 million remaining. So once I see the likes of Gvardiol or Onana on the brink of a price rise, or maybe Maguire set to go down, I might just make the moves very early to ensure I can get Gvardiol and jinx him. And if not, I'll get his points and welcome them. Now, I was considering to upgrade Gabriel to a double Gameweek defender and roll the other transfer and then have 2 for Gameweek 38 and buy Gabriel back alongside Saka. But with Maguire's injury, that has changed those plans, and also the fact that Gvardiol can't stop returning whilst Ederson is absolutely useless. So this looks really good. Very strong template, bench boost 37 team. It could be enough to see me in the top 100k. But yeah, the captaincy decision this week has burned me big time, and it's going to make it more difficult to achieve that goal. And let's go once more to FPL Challenge, something that went right for me this week. 207 points once David Raya is subbed on for Ortega. Gabriel got 9 points, White with 8, Gvardiol with 10, Palmer 16, Saka with 22, Foden 11, Havertz 9, Jackson 27, Haaland 74 as my captain, and Isak 15. And also Burn and Branthwaite with decent numbers on the bench. No need for any auto subs and using the loopholes. So I'll just let Raya come on for Ortega, and that's a very healthy score. And that's back, 3 weeks in a row now where I've got over 100 points in FPL Challenge, and 207 points is the most I've gotten in any fantasy game during a single game week. So let's actually keep it on screen for now and make myself look good for a little bit. Now, next week, this is actually something I really rate about FPL Challenge. So in a double game week, the last one of the season, the challenge is every single game week player will score double the number of points. I think that's a great idea. And of course, for this week, it was every shot leads to 2 points. That's why we see some ridiculous scores like the ones you see on screen. So let's get back to your questions. Keep smashing the like button and subscribing if you're new. Thank you to all the members, patrons, super chatters, and subscribers. Thoughts on the title race at this stage? Well, as I've said in the last couple of weeks, Man City are the favourites. They are in control, of course. Arsenal surrendered that against Aston Villa. But I still think Spurs can do something. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I mentioned it recently where there were 2 occasions in the last year where Spurs had awful form going into the Man City game, yet they got a win or draw against Man City, and it's possible. I'll try to get the results up because I did mention, I think, in the last stream, if not the last reaction one. So let me just get this up. So in 2023, so this is the last time that City and Spurs played each other, the 3-3 draw at the Etihad, Spurs lost 4-1 at home to Chelsea, 2-1 to Wolves, 2-1 to Villa, then drew to Man City 3-3, and then lost to West Ham 2-1. The other occasion was in early 2022, where Tottenham lost at home to Southampton and Wolves 3-2 and 2-0 respectively. They beat Man City 3-2, and then lost to Burnley 1-0. So it's definitely possible, but they can't do it the way they're defending right now. They can see too many chances, but Man City have that kind of bogey ground in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it's one of their bogey teams. If you asked any Man City fan, you know, which away grounds would you not want to play if you had a preference, they would say Liverpool. That would be top. They'd probably say Arsenal, given, you know, the challenges they've given them in the last few years, and Tottenham away. Those would be the 3 most difficult grounds for them. And yeah, Spurs is a bit of a bogey team, but I'm not going to delude myself. I'm still kind of not going to set expectations. So just if anything happens, I'll be delighted. But Arsenal still have to do the job in their own games. Best other defenders for Gameweek 37. I have Dalot, Porro and Burn already. Probably will sell Gabriel and Van Hockey. But to who? I mean, the thing is with Gabriel, you don't need to sell him, but I can understand that. Yeah, Maguire is out injured. Van Heck, you could sell to... I can see your dilemma. Gavardio would be ideal, but you might have Edison in goal. But if you do have Edison, I would recommend keeping Gabriel, sell Van Heck and Edison, and maybe buy a Petrovic or Onana in goal, and Gavardio in the backline. Thanks for recommending keeping Saka over Foden and do the swap next week. A good swing over rival in the main mini-league. Hope Bruno plays otherwise. Jackson comes off the bench for that rival. Yeah, that would be really jammy, right? But I think we've all had it at some point. Yeah, look, with Saka and Foden, there was also some luck with that because for me, it wasn't a penalty for Arsenal. That sort of penalty has been given a lot over the years. So by the referee's definition and all that, it's a penalty, but I just don't think it is. It shouldn't be given. And with Foden, I mean, I'm very surprised with how poorly he did in comparison to Erling Haaland, for example. But yeah, easily do the transfer this week in Gameweek 37 and it will pay off. I finished on 127 points without using any chips. Good stuff. It looks like an FPL challenge sort of score. That comment about Haaland hat-trick in your stream made me confident to keep Haaland as captain and didn't go as differential as Salah captain. The thing is, though, Salah did very well today and he should have gotten bonus points. And yeah, those that went for Salah captain are very unlucky. Have you ever watched Kung Fu Panda, Dylan? Yes, I have, but a long time ago. Already have Palmer, Petrovic, Gusto. Would you do Gusto to Doubler and Darwin to Jackson? Yeah, I would. Now, there is a chance that Gusto does play both games, but I'd rather have Jackson in this moment, and I'm very surprised that it's the case. With your Argentinian knowledge, what is Enzo's best attributes and best way for him to fit in a team? Don't know why my voice is cracking, by the way, but yeah, with Enzo, I think his best attribute is his passing. And for Argentina, he mainly plays as a DM, and he's kind of like a Jorginho type where he dictates the tempo, but he can play as an 8, score from distance. He did that at River Plate and Benfica. So I think he can play in both positions, but he needs that support next to him. I think physically, especially in the last year or so, you can get at him. I think defensively isn't that great. He's not very strong or very quick, but his technique is amazing. I think he's a great passer of the ball, and I think if you put him in a good team like Argentina, you will see the very best of him. But yeah, at Chelsea, where you've got a lot of inconsistent players around him, yeah, it kind of does lower his level, and he does look like a pretty poor player, but that's not the case. Yeah, Maguire's out for the next couple of weeks, is confirmed by Man United. Caicedo plays much better when Enzo's not around. Not saying anything bad about Enzo, but I'm pretty sure Caicedo, Enzo, Gallagher function might be stacked. Now, that's a fair comment, to be fair, and it might be the same with one of Gallagher or Caicedo missing out, and then you see a good performing Chelsea midfield with Enzo. But yeah, Caicedo's played quite well recently, he has done, and Gallagher's been Chelsea's best midfielder this season. But I do think Enzo was Chelsea's best player when he first joined, up until the end of last season. But yeah, there's no doubt that this time round he has been very poor. Flecken and Region 18-pointer saved me. That's great. And I wouldn't have expected a clean sheet there. I would have started one of them max, not both, but fair play. Heal the Legends of Kung Fu Panda. Do-do-do, should-do-do-do. Okay, like I said, I haven't seen it in a long time, so in terms of like the delivery of that, I'm not going to be able to get that spot on. Need United to win on Monday to stop Chelsea. Yeah, it's possible that Chelsea leapfrogged them and Tottenham. You never know, but I still think it's a tough ask, and I think United will finish above Chelsea. Yeah, that's fair. Way saying, I remember you said that, and when I saw Madueke perform very well, I remembered your comments. Yeah, he has performed quite well in recent games, but I still don't fully trust him. And as I mentioned in the last stream, for me, Jackson is more reliable for goals and assists. And you saw what Jackson did today. Having triple Chelsea attack also seems very excessive, but this week it certainly worked. Jackson on my bench, will Bruno play? I think so. I think Bruno does play. If not, I could get Jackson on. Well, I wish you the best there, and I wouldn't mind if Bruno missed out, because, yeah, I think he could deliver pretty well this week, but yeah, I think he's going to start. Transfer Onana or Vicario and double up on Spurs defence. I'd go for Onana, but Vicario could keep a clean sheet against Burnley. I know it seems very improbable, but I do think Spurs will keep 1 or 2 clean sheets until the end of the season. Yeah, 2 of those fixtures look great on paper, and Man City struggle a lot at that stadium. Your favourite Gameweek Phase 7 captain? I wouldn't call him a favourite, but Erling Haaland will be on everyone's list right now, which is boring. But I do think I still am going to maintain, I think Foden, De Bruyne can rival him, Son and Palmer. That's my top 5. I think Palmer and Foden would tempt me a lot. But after what happened this week, I don't know if I'm going to go against Haaland. If anything, you know what? I'd actually rather captain Haaland, and he blanks, he does crap in both games, and someone else does really well, even if it's Palmer. Chelsea needed to make Palmer go for the golden boot, only at 88 points thanks to Palmer captain. This is why you stick to the template at times. Yeah, but this is the thing though, right? All season, the template captaincy options have been quite underwhelming, so it's a bit harsh to say, you know, we have to always stick to it, because there are opportunities to go against the likes of Haaland, but of course, this week it went horribly wrong. And yeah, there's no chance for Palmer getting the golden boot after what Haaland did yesterday. I even was asked this a couple of weeks ago. I think it was before Chelsea played Arsenal. Who do you think will get the golden boot? And I said, I still think Haaland. If he stays fit, he's going to win it. And he's pretty much done it already. Watkins to Jackson tonight. I mean, there's always a risk of injury. I'm not too fussed about price changes unless you might be priced out of that move or something. Of course, not that in particular, but let's say, for example, if you don't do Watkins to Jackson tonight, you might not be able to buy someone else. Then fair enough, but I think wait if possible. Injuries can happen. Look at Maguire. Out of the blue, he's out for 3 weeks. I was one of the people who convinced you to captain Watkins. Oh, yeah. I thought Watkins was a good captaincy option, but yeah, Brighton got the result, and it's about time because they've been awful in this calendar year. And Aston Villa, I mean, what can I say? I still don't know how Arsenal didn't score a single goal against them this season. I think Arsenal have themselves to blame. They had so many chances. Aston Villa concede too many opportunities, and whenever we come to the last part of the season, Emery tends to crumble. It's something I've always said, and people get offended, but it's just the way I see it. I saw it at Arsenal, at PSG, and it's happening at Villa. They will still finish 4th, but that's only because Tottenham have crumbled completely. The second penalty kick for City would be a Haaland goal anyway. Yeah, look, the second penalty, no complaints, but the first one was an awful decision. Dunk or Porro or Burn, rank in order of preference to bring for the double game week. It might surprise you, but I'm still going Porro first. I think Spurs keep a clean sheet against Burnley, and also I like him for Game Week 38. So Porro first, probably Burn second, and Dunk third. Tio says, I have Cher and 8 Nuri. We'll sell both for Gabriel and who? Porro or Livramento? Yeah, I'd go for Porro personally because of the clean sheet chances. I don't think Newcastle keep one against Brighton or Man United, but if you want to go different, I'm all for it. It's not like an Haaland decision where you go against them for the captaincy and get burned. I don't think it'll be like that for Porro. Liverpool almost fumbled. Yeah, once Spurs scored the second, it was a bit nervy. Reminded me of the Arsenal-Spurs game last week, but yeah, that fourth goal was already enough to kind of kill it. And unless Spurs scored that third, yeah, I think Liverpool always were going to win that. Do you think Bruno starts? Yeah, 100%. Is Bruno even playing though? I'm 100% convinced he does. I might be wrong, but I just personally think he will. He's that type of player who rarely misses matches. Still have my triple captainship. Yeah, I was actually asked this question a lot this week. When would you play the triple captain? And I said Game Week 37, but if you've got the bench boost to use in that game week, I'd use it now. But I did recommend Foden and De Bruyne, not Haaland, but hopefully people did go for the Haaland triple captaincy this week. What do you think of Chalobah? I need to move Van Heck out, and Chalobah's the only double game weeker I can afford. Yeah, in that case, I'd go for Chalobah. If he plays both games, I think one clean sheet is possible. I wouldn't expect attacking returns, but he has done it recently. Remember I said Jackson is bad man, and then you went, maybe he's a bad man, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Look, fair play to Jackson. He's been saving me in FPL, so I'm happy. What's your 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th prediction? I still think Spurs finish 5th. They've done enough in the first 10 games of the season to secure that. But they've actually got 34 points from the last 25 points. 34 points from the last 25 games. So they're in awful form. But yeah, they'll finish 5th. 6th, I think Newcastle. 7th, I'm going to go for Chelsea. Yeah, I think Chelsea finish above United. And I said this before Chelsea played United at Old Trafford. United won that game. And then after that, I thought, maybe I was a bit foolish to say that. But yeah, I think Chelsea finished 7th, United 8th. I don't really see any changes there. I think Chelsea's fixtures are better than United's. Now, United-Arsenal will be a massive game, but yeah, I personally think United will finish in 8th place. Yeah. How does João Pedro to Wilson and Bruno to Madueke, Johnson, Garnacho look like, and who should I choose? I personally wouldn't do it. I think Bruno Fernandes, if he's fit, is far better than Madueke, Johnson, and Garnacho. That's the way I see it. So I keep what you have, actually, and focus on other decisions. If you've got Maguire, sell him instead. Havertz captain didn't pay off. Yeah, he got booked as well. Won a penalty. He had a great game. He got robbed of an assist by Saka, who had a very lazy finish. But yeah, Havertz played very well yesterday. Just no GA, really. Official GA. If Salah had not been benched last week, I would have kept him over Saka. Yeah, but either way, both of them scored similarly, right? And Salah got robbed of bonus points, but luckily enough for non-Salah owners, his effective ownership was very low. Wei Seng says Aaron Wan-Bissaka plus Webster as Maguire Van Heck replacements. Yeah, if possible, I would go to Lewis Hall or Burn instead of Webster, but I'm not sure if you can afford Burn. 120 points, change captain to Haaland from Palmer as soon as I saw his cameo last week. Yeah, that's fair. I mentioned that as well. He looked very sharp, but 4 goals is something I never foresaw. Replacement for Maguire, Cher, Van Heck, already have 3 City players. Dallo is still a decent option. I think Dan Burn as well, and I'd probably go for a Cucurella. I'm not sure if you've got triple Chelsea already, though. Havertz out, Foden in for a hit. Yeah, I'd do it. Need to do Keller to Petrovic. I'd do it for a hit, yeah. Think I might need to sell Gusto. Might have to buy Jackson, so painful. It'd be typical now, right, if Jackson starts to blank, but he's already done enough for me. I'm quite happy with him. But yeah, I'd do that. I'm triple captaining in the double and is currently on Haaland, but I'm debating whether or not to put it on Palmer. I think Palmer and Foden can definitely rival him this week. There's not going to be a 16-point difference again. That was kind of a freak result, an anomaly. Yeah, I think Palmer's a great shout. I wonder about transfer out Gordon and Burn for Richarlison and Livramento Kraft. It's a decent shout, and you can also consider Lewis Hall, but I'd personally keep Gordon and Burn. Benched Robertson, yeah. Conceded twice, but got that goal. Yeah, I feel for you. I might have to change my username again. Any suggestions? Well, Chelsea are still 7th, so it's not like they're amazing now, but they're in good form. That's for sure. Watkins to Jackson tonight itself, like I mentioned, I'd just wait because you're not really going to lose anything, are you? Jackson is easily attainable. He's cheaper than Watkins. I'd wait for more injury updates and do the transfer close to the deadline. But yeah, the transfer looks good. 95 points could have been 170 if I had Captain Haaland. Yeah, that's all I think about this week. If I Captain Haaland, it'd be a green arrow. I'd be almost locked in for the top 100k, and now it looks very difficult. Johnny Evans already training. I think Casemiro will partner with Evans tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, look, Varane and Lissandro will probably be back for Arsenal, so that will be a massive boost, but it's not looking good for Palace tomorrow. I mean, change my username to... Yeah, I got that, don't worry. Super Seagull says Twisted Parky. Really want Foden, but already got triple City with Haaland, De Bruyne and Gvardiol. Is Foden a must? I do prefer him over De Bruyne, and I've always said this, but I definitely want to do it for a hit. And you might have bigger priorities like Maguire, Fabian Schär, and other injured players. Like Man United is finished. Yeah, but they've got the same points as Chelsea, though. So, yeah, it's kind of a... On current form, I get you, but... Yeah, I mean, they're both finished at the moment. Dare I say. 91 points in FPL. Yeah, that's good. Hopefully that's a green arrow for you. Would you rather bench boost with Flecken, Gabriel, Reguilon, and Solanke this week, or Solanke, Gabriel, Saliba, and Flecken, Gameweek 38? On paper, I think the Gameweek 38 bench boost might be better, actually, for you. Yeah, I think so. Jose the Special Mo says, okay, with Maguire injury, probably I'll make the same moves as you. Maguire to Gvardiol and Edison to Onana. Yeah, that's another decision I'm gutted about, not buying Gvardiol, but it is what it is. You're doing better in FPL Challenge than FPL in the last 3 weeks. Well, FPL Challenge is going amazingly well. I mean, I'm not sure exactly where I'd be in the world, but it'd be quite high, I'd imagine. But yeah, look, FPL's been good recently for me, but Gameweek 36 has been awful because of the Haaland captaincy fiasco. I'm fighting for a first place in mini league. Dubravka to Petrovic, Schär to Burn or Borro. I'd personally go for Borro. And Saka to Bruno, Solanke to Jackson, -12 hit. You think it's worth it? I mean, overall, I think the hits pay off because of the doubles, but yeah, -12 hit isn't ideal, of course. But yeah, I think it is. I'm a Liverpool fan, says Chelsea's finished. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say Liverpool's finished, but I know a few people would have said that in the chat. Spurs equals 2009 Barca against City. Hopefully. That would be great for the league, but I very much doubt it. Don Watkins to Haaland, looking also at Maniz to Wilson and Saliba to Dallo -8. Wilson with a double could be a huge differential. That's definitely true. Already have Gusto and triple Chelsea, so we'll get minutes. That's fair enough. Looks good to me. I don't really see much wrong with it, other than Saliba. But yeah, I think Dallo will outscore him in Gameweek 37. Can do Edison to Petrovic and Van Hecke to Gvardiol with the exact funds, but might be beaten by price rises. Well, I talked about the price changes earlier, and there shouldn't be any changes regarding your players yet. Maybe Van Hecke's the only one. But yeah, I think in your case, I'd probably make the transfers now. I'm in a similar position where I have 0.1 million remaining to buy Onana and Gvardiol, so I might do the transfers early. Yeah, Gusto came off the bench to play, exactly. Would you sell Robertson? Great form, Villa away. Well, the way Villa are playing, it's not the worst call to keep Robertson, but I'd personally sell him. Best free hit team? Well, I'll try to maybe make a video for it, but this week is going to be a bit hectic for me. I don't think I'll do one now, because I want to put a lot of thought into it. Chelsea in the worst era can go to Europa Conference League. That's not really something to be proud of, in my opinion, but yeah, I mean, we'll have our different opinions. Should I take a -4 to sell KDB for Gvardiol? Otherwise, my defense would look really poor, but not sure Gvardiol starts both games. Might go for Walker instead. The thing is, though, Walker could also be benched in one of the games. Gvardiol has more attacking threat, and I think he's worth it. Even if he is benched in one game, he could easily get 6 to 12 points in the only start he gets. What's the best replacement for Maguire? Well, apart from Gvardiol, who is just doing really well at the moment, I'd say I'd still go for Borro. I really would. I know he's been awful recently. Spurs are so shaky defensively, but I'd go for Borro. Dan Burn and Dallo also spring to mind. I captain Diaz instead of Salah or Haaland in challenge. So sad. Well, Diaz is a nice shout, you know, because he's registered so many shots this season. But yeah, Haaland was the one to captain in all formats. Should I do Saka to Son or Richarlison? I'd personally sell Saka to Son, but keeping Saka's not a bad idea whatsoever. These clowns saying Chelsea worst era when they spent 1 billion. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say clowns, but yeah, the 1 billion thing, of course, is a big factor. Did you win the fantasy challenge? I'm not sure if I did, and we'll see how United goes tomorrow, because if Bruno scores 2 or 3 goals and someone has him, that probably ruins my chances. So I haven't won it yet. Jose the Special Mo says, I wonder your opinion about Franco Mastantuono, who is linked with Real Madrid. Oh, the River Plate midfielder. I've heard about him. I haven't seen him, though. He's compared to Valverde. I saw that. I think it was Fabrizio Romano who said it. But I've heard great things. A lot of people say he's the best performing player in the Argentinian league, but I honestly haven't seen him, so I can't comment. Do you think injury caused Enzo's poor form? Partly. He's also to blame himself, but I do think Chelsea structure, and as you mentioned, having him, Gallagher and Caicedo, the balance isn't really there with that midfield. I hope Chelsea can get the best out of him. Maybe eventually you will, but it might take a lot of time. Thinking to go against Haaland captaincy again. I'm probably just going to captain him and jinx him, or that'll be my aim. And if I get points, whatever it is, I don't care. But I think I'm just going to captain him. Minimum number of double Gameweek phase 7 players needed. I mean, it depends on the situation. If you're bench boosting, I'd say 10 or 11 minimum. Otherwise, I think 8, 9. But look at Saka. Look at these Arsenal players, how well they're doing. Salah this week as well. You can get single Gameweek players deliver. Sell Spurs defenders. I personally wouldn't. Burnley at home and Sheffield United away. 2 of the last 3 games. I'd keep them. Now, if you've got a double up, fair enough. I'd maybe diversify a little bit, but I wouldn't sell all of them. Bada says, hey Dylan, I got Raya and Ortega. Do you think the latter would start in double game week? No. Edison will start both games, it looks like. Everyone says City struggled at Tottenham, but people said the same thing about Arsenal, and look what they did. The thing is, though, Arsenal won last year, and they won again this year. Man City won in the FA Cup, but in the Premier League, they haven't scored a single goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So, yeah, I think with Arsenal as well, the North London derby factor is a big thing. You're right, you know, in terms of current form, City are going to blitz the remaining teams, but I still think they're one of the bogey teams, Tottenham, and that's Arsenal's best chance of winning the league, beating United and Everton, and Spurs getting a result against City. Alan could have got 5 if Pep didn't sub. True, but he also could have gotten less if the penalty wasn't given in the first place, but yeah, I think 4 goals is already enough. If it was more than that, I'd be fuming. Any chance for an Arsenal clean sheet at United? There is a chance, but I personally don't think so. And I said this before the Tottenham game, and Arsenal were on course for a clean sheet and then gifted it away through David Raya's mistake. 72, no Haaland and Bruno still to play. Yeah, it's a good score on paper, but this week is so high scoring. Everyone and their dog seem to have gone for Haaland captain, so it is a bit frustrating. DG says, evening Dylan, I need a defender for 37. Should I go for Cucurella, Livramento, or maybe an Everton asset? Not a bad shout to go for a Branthwaite or even a Tarkovsky, but I'd personally go for Cucurella from those 3. Twisted Parkio 6 says, bench boost, Petrovic, Gabriel, Byrne, Akanji, Parmesan, Saka, Foden, Haaland, Isak, Onana, Manice, Pedro Porro, Gusto. Yeah, I think Manice and Gusto would be your 2 weak links. Everyone else looks great. I'm not sure if Akanji starts all the games, but it's possible. Yeah, I'd definitely upgrade on Manice and Gusto. Not sure about... Yeah, you even mentioned it yourself. Jackson for Manice and sell Gusto, yes. Who would I buy in the defence? Potentially, I would go for... Difficult, because you've got 2 Newcastle players already. So you've got 4 defender slot left. You can go for a Lewis Hall or Livramento, but not sure if it's worth it. I think maybe Dallo, but you've got Onana. Doubling up in United defensively isn't ideal. But yeah, I'd definitely sell Gusto and Muniz at this moment in time. I got a shock seeing 207 points on your screen. Yeah, I just had to, feel better about myself, to be honest. Yeah, in FPL, only the 86, unfortunately. Wasif says, Saka, Mateta or Solanke to transfer out for someone. Who should I do to whom? I'd sell Saka and Solanke. You could even sell all of them for a hit and buy Saka back for Gameweek 38 for free. Yeah, Burn is still okay. Nice 200 club. That's my goal next season. Yeah, but that's an FPL challenge. If I got that in FPL, I mean, I'd be in the top 50k from that score. Bought Haaland straight after his 21-point haul. Yeah, hopefully we jinx him. I know that's probably not what you want. You want points, but I'm hoping to jinx. Wei Seng as well. Let's see. Yeah, there's chat. There's so many chats coming in, but I will cover everything eventually. So already have Burn and triple Newcastle, Spurs, City and Chelsea. Only have spot for Brighton and Man United. Yeah, that's fair enough. That's what I mean. With defenders, it's very difficult this week. You can't really trust any of them. Non-FPL question, apologies for it. Why are the German teams doing so well in European tournaments compared to the English ones? And where do you put Leverkusen in history if they remain unbeaten? Well, it's one of the best achievements ever, even though it's only Europa League and the Bundesliga isn't the strongest of leagues. But I think the main reason why German teams are doing so well is, you know what, I'll kind of look at it from more of the Premier League's perspective. I do think Klopp is right with what he says about the lack of recovery time. You look at La Liga, Liga and Serie A and the Bundesliga, and they typically give teams a bigger rest. So if they've got a Champions League game on the Tuesday or Wednesday, they'll give them a game on the Friday. You don't really see that in the Premier League, and the scheduling is tougher on the Premier League clubs than it is on the German clubs, for example. So I think that's one major reason. It gives a massive advantage. Look at Arsenal against Bayern, for example. Apart from the fact that Bayern have more experience and pedigree, maybe a better mentality in the Champions League, I also think that physically Arsenal were completely gone and they had nothing left in their legs. So I think that's the main reason why, actually. Who's the best Chelsea defender to have? Probably Cucurella at the moment, but Petrovic is my favourite way of covering their defence. Isn't Cuckoo going to impact Jackson's minutes? I don't think so. They could even play together, with Jackson on the wing or in Cuckoo playing as an inside forward. Thoughts on Dunk? The best Brighton defender, but I'm not a big fan. How would you celebrate if Arsenal win the league? I mean, that's a big if. Probably similar to the way I celebrated the Argentina World Cup. So go out in the streets and celebrate. There'll be a trophy parade around the Emirates and also around Highbury. I'll be there, but still a long way to go. Maguire, yeah, he's out for a few weeks. Oh, come on, stop that Chelsea's finished crap. We'll be back. You wait and see. But I think the point is you're currently finished, and I didn't make the names, so yeah. My team is Dubravka, Reguilon, Cucurella, Gvardiol, Son, Bowen, Foden, Palmer, Haaland, Isak, Solanke, while the bench is Raya, Havertz, Gabriel, Lamptey. Got no bench boost. In that case, it's not really too relevant in terms of having 15 players with a double. Your team looks pretty well set up regardless. I'm a bit unsure about Dubravka, though, with Nick Pope now back. That could be a big concern. I wouldn't mind starting Havertz or Gabriel in Gameweek 37, but I do think there are better options. Top 5 essentials in Double Gameweek 37. Palmer, Haaland, Foden, Son, and a fifth option would be probably a third City asset, whether it's Gvardiol or De Bruyne. Hey Dylan, keep Salah and Branthwaite for Double Gameweek 37 or sell for Man City assets. I'd sell Salah in Gameweek 37 to a Foden or De Bruyne. If you can buy Salah back for Gameweek 38, that would be amazing. Branthwaite's not a bad option in Gameweek 37, so I wouldn't really mind keeping him. Paqueta can't even tie Wirtz's boots. To be fair, they're different players, but Wirtz, you know, people talk about Ballon d'Or. Wirtz should be in for a shout. Yeah, so yeah, wasting, yeah, like I just said to Chelsea's finished, different sorts of players, really. I think Wirtz is better, but you can't really compare them. Also, Postecoglou's first season started very well. But I said at the time, you know, Tottenham I think they beat Palace, they were top of the league, and I said, look, they're going to go down anyway, and just let Tottenham fans enjoy it. And I think as soon as I said that, they lost 4-1 to Chelsea, had a very poor run. I think Spurs play some good football, but they're very naive sometimes tactically. They concede too many goals from set pieces, they're far too open and exposed. They need a major overhaul, and a lot of these players don't suit Postecoglou's style. So, yeah, Spurs need a few transfer windows. In terms of competing for the title, they're a very long way from that, in my opinion. If Foden keeps playing on the wing, I think it's not a good call for the double game week. Well, he did score a hat-trick against Brentford on the wing. I personally think he can do it as a cam, as a right winger, and as a left winger. But I would argue that on the right, he's a bit less effective. He's still gotten some big returns, though. Who's better than Wirtz? Well, in terms of overall football players, Messi, of course, there's a lot of players who are better than him, and Messi's one of them. But as for the Ballon d'Or rankings, I'd personally put Wirtz ahead of Bellingham. That's personally how I'd see it, but I know a lot of people would disagree. Man United match is so far away, waiting for Bruno to haul. Well, it's only tomorrow. What is it tomorrow or Wednesday? Let me double check that. Lad. Don't want to get that wrong. No, it's tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know why I thought of Wednesday. That wouldn't make any sense from a fixture scheduling perspective. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's that far. Are you not afraid about transferring Onana instead of Edison? Probably now all centre-backs is injured. Vicario is pretty good option. Yeah, look, Vicario against Burnley and Sheffield United looks decent, but I just rather have Onana because of saves, and I think United will turn up against Arsenal. I hope they don't, but I think they will. I disagree, to be honest. I think Bellingham had a great first half of the season, but in the knockouts he's been missing, and I also think there have been better players throughout the whole season. I just think the fact that he's English and plays for Real Madrid and he's had a great season overall, I think it has inflated him a little bit, in my opinion. Thoughts on low score for top 10k this season? On low score, is it low score? Actually not. I thought this was a high scoring season, but I need to double check that. Is Havertz ever as good as Wirtz? Well, I'd say Wirtz is better, but Havertz is having a great campaign. He's been amazing in 2024, but yeah, no, Wirtz I think is better. FPL question now, do you think we need hour and a half for the deadline or just push it for 30 minutes? We get leaks anyway, and actually this will even the game out and make it funner. I would personally just have it like UCL Fantasy, World Cup Fantasy and Euro Fantasy Football, where the deadline is when the first game of the game week starts. Either way, those who live in the USA or in Australia, throughout the world, in Asia, they're at a major disadvantage compared to those in the UK because of the timing. So I personally agree. I'd probably put the deadline when the first game of the game week starts. What's your all-time 11 in football history, Dylan? You can say your own ones, lads, if you like. I've been asked this before, but a long time ago. Players like Pele, for example, would be in a lot of teams, and I get that, but I personally didn't see him or even watch too many YouTube videos of him or highlights. And the same kind of goes for Maradona. I've seen a lot about him in terms of highlights and videos, but not live because it was before my time. But I'd personally go for, one of Casillas, Buffon, or Neuer in goal, as someone asked me earlier. Of course, there's amazing goalkeepers like Yashin, like Pierre Schmeichel, but I think I'll go for one of the three that I've mainly watched, and my favourite is Casillas. I don't think he's the best goalkeeper of all time, but he's one of my favourites, so I'll put him in there. Fullbacks, I think Cafu, Zanetti, and Philipp Lahm are all contenders for right back, even Dani Alves. Zanetti would be my favourite because he's Argentine, but I really think Philipp Lahm is underrated. I think he's an amazing player. I'd put Philipp Lahm and Ashley Cole as the fullbacks. Centre-backs, I'd go for Maldini. And then it gets a bit more difficult, I think, for the other centre-back. You've got Ramos, who's obviously a great contender, but I do think he had his suspect moments defensively. Of course, Beckenbauer is widely regarded as the best centre-back of all time. You've got so many. Bobby Moore, of course. I'd have to think about that one. Another one is Baresi, but I didn't see too much about him. I did see more about Maldini. So, yeah, the other centre-back, I think I'm going to go for... I'll go for Beckenbauer, but I haven't seen too much of him. Midfielders... This gets difficult, I'm not going to lie. And we're always tempted to go for a very offensive lineup, so not a proper DM. You kind of go for like Zidane, Maradona. I'd personally be tempted to put one of Iniesta or Xavi. I think they're great players. Very underrated in how they help their teams tick. But yeah, Zidane and Maradona would be in my midfield. In the forward line, Messi has to be in it. I'd also go for R9, the Brazilian Ronaldo. I think in his peak, he was the best striker, one of the best of all time. And I like Ronaldinho, the way he plays football. It's a joy to watch. So I put Ronaldinho on the left. My last midfielder, that's a difficult one. I'd have to reconsider. But I'd probably put Iniesta in there. I just really love watching him play. If I had to put a DM, then because of my Arsenal bias, I'd put Patrick Vieira, who technically wasn't a DM, but he could play that role and also as a box-to-box 8. So yeah, that's kind of like what my team would be like. What about young Muller versus Wirtz? Well, Thomas Muller did it for Germany on the biggest stage. He also has a great Champions League record, so there's still a long way to go for Wirtz to, surpass Muller. But yeah, young Muller was really good, actually. The thing is, he's not technically great, but his intelligence, his positioning, and his finishing is top quality. I think Wirtz has more technical ability, though. Deadlines in Colombia are mostly at 5 or 6 a.m. It sucks. Yeah, when I went to Argentina last year and I had to do deadline streams, I just did the deadline stream the day before because otherwise I have to wake up at like 5, 6 a.m. in the morning to then stream at 7 a.m. when I'm with my family. So yeah, I get your feeling. Yep, Mohammed, latest news about Maguire's injury. As a United fan, I feel sad. I don't know who else will fill the defender position now. Well, it could be Johnny Evans and Casemiro as the centre-backs. Let's see if Lisandro and Varane are back anytime soon. Singh says 2,600 for top 10k last season. All right, okay. I was actually wrong about that. I thought it was a high-scoring season. Yeah, I'm a bit surprised about that, to be honest. That'll be my main takeaway. But it has been a strange season. It really has. Dylan says 120 points with Garnacho left to play. Great score. Even if Garnacho blanks, that's a great return. How can you watch Zanetti and Maldini? Well, Zanetti played football until 2011, 2012. So I did watch him a lot regardless. Maldini is more highlights, but he still played pretty late until 2008-9 at the very least. Won the Champions League in 2007. Can we do a vote for end of the season? Dylan FPL team, watchers team of the season. Yeah, Zico's a great shout. Yeah, Maradona for me has to be in it. You know, he's the joint greatest Argentine player with Messi. And Ronaldinho, the way he plays football is breathtaking. So, yeah, Passarella's a great shout at centre-back. I personally wouldn't go for him. I think Beckenbauer is widely regarded as the best centre-back. And Maldini, for me, can play on the left and also as a centre-back. I'll put him in centre-back and put Ashley Cole left-back. CR7 for sure. Yeah, of course, but like I said, Ronaldinho, I think, was a better footballer, and also R9 in his peak, for me, is the best striker. CR7, of course, it's kind of harsh to leave him out, but yeah, it's kind of like my favourite team of all time, and that's what I'd go for. Pedri finished? Nah. It's harsh to say a player's finished when, especially in this guy's case, he's 19 years old. He gets so many injuries. Hopefully he can get over that, but you can't really compare Pedri to Wirtz. Pedri is a Xavi Iniesta type player. He dictates the play. He won't get many goals or assists, whilst Wirtz will. If Gundogan was still in Man City, this would be the perfect time to get him. Yeah, he would be clutch. He probably would have scored some of the goals that Foden and De Bruyne have done so recently. So yeah, that's a great shout. People choose Pele, probably are 80-year-old geezers. Well, yeah, but even I put Beckenbauer in there because I'll be honest, a lot of the centre-backs are quite similarly rated, whether it's Rio Ferdinand, Vidic, Campbell, or, you know, and then there's others that I haven't seen too much of, like Baresi, who I've heard great things about. Yeah, Van Basten's also an amazing one up front. If he didn't have his career cut short, he might even be widely regarded as the best striker ever. To win 3 Ballon d'Ors at the age of 26, 28 is insane. Only Messi's done that. Hi Dylan, so sad not to have Haaland stuck at 70 points. Yeah, I have him, but I didn't captain him, and I felt the pain there. I hope that he blanks as my captain next week, though. Bono was one of the best goalkeepers in the world lately. Yeah, but he wouldn't be my world 11. I like Bono, by the way. Great personality, good keeper. But in terms of the best goalkeepers now, I think it's between Alisson and Courtois. Ronaldinho definitely a shout. Just have to forget that jammy free kick. Yeah. Obviously, I was only a baby when that happened, but he was a genius. I think my favourite Ronaldinho goal was against Chelsea when, just at the edge of the box, you know, he kind of just does a fake shot, gets everyone sent, and then tucks it into the bottom corner. Most underrated player ever? I think I was asked this very recently, and I actually mentioned Ji-Sung Park. The top 5 most underrated players in Premier League history. Or top 3 most underrated in history, and top 5 right now. Yeah, I think Ji-Sung Park is definitely up there. Which season do you start watching football? I've watched it since I was very, very young. So when Arsenal won the title in 2003, 2004, I was watching, but of course I don't remember much about it, only the parade. I actually remember a bit about that. It was a great experience. Hopefully we can feel it very soon, hopefully this month. I'm very interested about the development of Endrick. In Brazil, they name him as the new Pele, and there is a lot of hopes that he can be a star. Well, yeah, a lot of people talk about his aura. He has potential, there's no doubt about it, but I think you've got to be careful with putting so much pressure on young talent. You know, I think Lamela was once dubbed the new Messi because he was a right winger, performing well for Roma, and look what happened. So, yeah, I think another one was Iturbe from Porto, and yeah, it just never happened. So I think it's a bit harsh to dub these players with so much pressure. I think it's just best to let them be their own, just form their own identity, really. I like Bono, just not that one from U2. Annoying git, fair enough. My team of the season is Alisson, Saliba, Van Dijk, Walker, Robertson, KDB, Palmer, Foden, Son, Haaland, and Salah. Not going to lie, I wouldn't put Walker in there or Robertson. I just don't think they deserve it. Van Dijk is a shout, but honestly, I think I'd put Gabriel in there. You might say I'm very biased there. That's fair enough, but I think the defense is what I mainly disagree with. I also wouldn't put KDB. He's been great recently, but he's been injured for most of the season, and I don't think he's better than Rodri. I think Rodri has to be in that team. Declan Rice, they have to be in the team of the year for me. Yeah, isn't Bono the lead singer of U2? Yeah, I thought, well, someone else mentioned Bono earlier. I think it was the Moroccan goalkeeper. How can you become an Arsenal fan while they not winning major trophy since Golden Trophy? Well, I became an Arsenal fan before the title drought started, but I'm not a glory hunter or anything. I don't support Chelsea. David De Gea, better than Onana? Well, in his prime, there's no doubt about it, but David De Gea was pretty suspect last season. You saw him against Brentford, I think against Brighton, against Liverpool in that 7-0. I think it was right to move him on, but Onana, been decent in the Premier League to be fair, but he single-handedly cost United in the Champions League. Bono dreams to play in Boca. I guess one day he's a big fan. Dylan has just watched football for years and Arsenal, just joking, could not resist. Yeah, I get you. 106 points with Maguire left, unfortunately. Also have Cher and Bodra on the bench with no points. Need to do 2 transfers for 37. Triple City and Chelsea already. Suggestions? Yeah, a lot of us are in a similar predicament. I'd keep Bodra. I really would. I'd sell Maguire and Cher and maybe go for like with Dallo and a Dan Burn. Why have you stopped answering FPL questions all of a sudden? That's just I'm getting non-FPL questions, and the reaction streams tend to be a bit calmer, so I'm not really too against that. I started watching since the Gold 05-06 season. Yeah, that was a good season as well, to be fair. Damn, forgot Rodri instead of KDB then. Yeah, I also think Rice, personally. I'd put a few more Arsenal players in there, but I'll be accused of bias, so I'm not going to go into that too much. Wei Seng says, Ipswich thoughts. Obviously a great achievement. They were in League One last year. McKenna's done a great job, the former assistant of Manchester United. Hopefully he can stay and they can build something, but I still remember Burnley last season who took the championship by storm, and they're set to be relegated. So hopefully that doesn't happen to Ipswich, but it's going to be a big ask for all the promoted teams to stay. I think Leicester will be the one that could stay up and stay put in the Premier League. I think the others will be relegated. Not saying when I first watched Sisters to Parky, fair enough. Thank you, Elliot. Yeah, no worries, Elliot. FPL can be frustrating, but you just got to take on the chin. I was a bit aggravated with the Erling Haaland haul yesterday, but you got to laugh about it, and sometimes it is worth going against the grain and being different, and sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. It will massively backfire. At the end of the day, though, it's only virtual points. It's not a big deal. So yeah, be sure to smash the like button if you haven't already. Let's get this stream to over 100 likes. Let's just say I remember Gazza's tears. Yeah, we all have our great memories in football and, the nightmares. I had similar kind of penalty shootout woes for the national team. It happens. Bundesliga beat Premier League in getting 5 spots. It's deserved. It really is. But as I mentioned earlier, I think one of the main reasons why the Premier League did so poorly in the Champions League this season, and it's been the case in a lot of years recently, is the fixture scheduling in the Premier League isn't as favourable as the Dutch League, Ligue 1, Serie A and La Liga. I'm not going to use that as the only excuse, but it's a massive advantage for the other European clubs. The Colombian puts his team, 2 free transfers with 1.1 million in the bank, bench boost 37 suggestions. Yeah, Cher, I'd sell, and this is interesting. So you've got a very good 50-man squad, but Cher's the only concern there. And I'd say Gusto perhaps. So what I'd consider doing, and I know you might not want to take a hit, but I would consider doing Edison to either Petrovic or Onana, and I'd recommend Petrovic. I would do Fabian Cher to Gvardiol, and if needed, I would sell Gusto as well. You might want to keep Gusto in that case, which is fine, but I think I'd actually do that. Edison to Petrovic, and yeah, and I'd do Cher to Gvardiol. For me, team of the season, Raya, White, Saliba, Van Dijk, Ake, Rice, Rodri, Odegaard, Foden, Haaland, Saka. There's some good teams, obviously, the ones you pose for the team of the season. Yeah, Kempis is a great shout, James. Apart from Messi and Maradona, he's kind of the most famous number 10 after them. And in terms of a single World Cup campaign, in 1978. It's one of the best of all time. Yeah, he is an amazing player. Shame that as a pundit he's pretty poor, but I'd rather not get into that. Just to kind of give my thoughts on the team of the season, I'd personally put one of Alisson or Emi Martinez as the goalkeeper. I think with Raya, he's had a good season, but he's also made quite a lot of mistakes. Very lucky yesterday against Bournemouth. That should have been given as a goal, but goalkeepers are massively overprotected. Vicario had a great start, but I think he's far too shaky from set pieces, and he's made a few mistakes. I'd personally go for one of Alisson or Martinez as the goalkeeper. For the defence, I agree with White, Saliba. I'd personally put Gabriel in there. Even if it means kind of shifting things about a little bit and putting a left back, I just think Gabriel's been that good. But as a natural left back, quite difficult, right, to find one. I think Ake's a good shout. Udogie was having a good season. I think Ake might be the one, really. Or people will say Gvardiol now, but that might be very reactionary. He had a pretty poor start. He's grown into the season, I think. But yeah, great defensive line. The midfield is also spot on, you could argue, especially with Rice and Rodri. They have to be in it. I know it might not be technically in position, but I'd probably put Palmer in there. I think Odegaard's a better player than Palmer, but for the team of the season, based on the impact and all of that, the goals and assists, I'd probably put Palmer in there over Odegaard. Yeah, a lot of people won't put Saka, but I personally think he deserves to be in it. He's very underrated at this point and overhated. What's your best single game week score? Is there a way to check? I don't think so. I think my best single game week score is definitely over 100 points. Probably between... I have to double check it, but I think it's between 110 and 130. I don't know exactly what it is. My all-time 11 is Casillas, Alves, Ramos, Beckenbauer, Maldini, Scholes, Xavi, Lampard, Messi, Ronaldo, and R9. Yeah, it's a great team. They're all amazing players. Yeah, I don't really have many complaints about that. I personally wouldn't put Lampard in an all-time 11, but he's a great player. Yo, Dylan, what do you think of going Flecken, Powell, Saka, Onana, Dalot, Richarlison? I think great transfers, and if you can buy Saka for Gameweek 38, even better. I personally prefer Son over Richarlison still, but he looked very sharp today. Now, doubling up on United defensively isn't great. It really isn't. But I think in isolation, Onana and Dalot can perform well in Gameweek 37. The Colombian says, thanks for the suggestions. Must-own players for Gameweek 37. Yeah, I think Palmer, Haaland, Foden, Son, and the fifth player would be a third City asset if possible. So if you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. Once again, I'm having issues with the lighting. I don't know what's happening with it. It always happens during the stream, never beforehand or after. So I'm going to quickly sort that out. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, for the latest FPL and user fantasy updates. Join the Discord server, the FPL League, FPL Challenge. Also check out Draft Town and become a channel member, yeah, all that. And also sign up as a Pro Pay Tier member. But check out Spotify and Amazon Music. Follow me on those platforms and leave a 5-star review. It goes a long way to supporting the channel. But yeah, this light is kind of peeing me off. So I'm going to sort that out and then go back to your questions for the remainder of the stream. We have been streaming for 1 hour, 20 minutes almost. So be sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you are new. But yeah, let me just double check this quickly and see if I can fix this cursed light. Well, I think I've fixed it, but there always seems to be a problem with it. Let's go back to my amazing FPL team where I captain Foden, not Erling Haaland, which has resulted in a red arrow. Unless Dalot can get a clean sheet or something against Crystal Palace, which I very much doubt. Keep or sell Maddison. He looked quite sharp when he came on, had a few shots, but it really depends. If you can sell him to a Bruno Fernandes, if fit, a Heung-min Son, a Foden, I'd definitely go to one of those players, that's for sure. Keep or sell Gusto. I'd personally look to sell him, and I said this a few weeks ago too. In terms of Chelsea defenders, I'd probably go for Cucurella. Chalobah would be my second favourite, but as I keep on saying, Petrovic is my favourite Chelsea defensive coverage. Twister Parky says, I did not like Argentina early 2000s, apart from Batistuta, but love them these days. Yeah, I think Messi has a lot to do with that. If it wasn't for him, Argentina is probably the most hated national team in the world, which I do embrace. And even now, the Ronaldo fans and all that hate Argentina, but I don't care less. Sell Gabriel for Porro. I would. Yeah, I think I would. I think he does outscore Gabriel this week. I wouldn't do it for a hit, but for free, I don't see anything wrong with it. In Gameweek 38, you could buy Gabriel back for another defender whilst keeping Porro potentially. I'm a little afraid about rotation. Gavardio played 3 games and 90 minutes and can't be changed for Ake, and maybe Walker is a safe option. All Man City defenders are rotation risks. I said this the other day. It's the main reason why I went for Edison in the first place. So yeah, if I don't go for Gavardio, I'm hoping he does get benched, but he's just been on a roll recently. Some of his returns might be fortunate, but he's been in the right positions. He plays so far up, and he's the best defender in FPL right now. Mekelele was a great DM as well. He was, and he transformed that position in several ways. I started watching football with my dad back in 2005, 2006, but I wasn't really interested. In 2012, I finally got into it when all my classmates were watching and discussing it. Yeah, football's a great way of bringing people together, and yeah, it's there's always something to talk about in football. Let's put it that way. Raya I chose because he won the Golden Glove. Yeah, that's fair, and he's had a good season, but even Pickford, to be fair, is a shout, but I think I'd go for Alisson or Martinez personally. Lord Shen is the greatest Kung Fu Panda villain in my opinion. Yeah, to be honest, I didn't see the latest one, so I would have no idea about that one. How many hits would you take with my bench boost 37 team? So I look at your squad: Areola, Virgil, maybe Gusto. I'd say a -4 or -8. You don't need to go overboard, Elliot. You've got a good squad, but I think a -8. If I had to push it, maybe a -12, but certainly not more than that. You don't need to. I would be an Arsenal fan if I'm really watching since 05, when I still remember Henry is the one that I only knew at the time. Yeah, a lot of people I knew from primary school and secondary school supported Arsenal and then switched to Chelsea because obviously it was a transition there. And I even knew someone who supported Tottenham and then switched to Chelsea. Did you hear about the Brazilian player Argelico? Represented the national team one time and played for Porto, Benfica, Racing Santander in Europe. No, to be honest, I don't. And I know that's a surname in South America, but no, I'm not aware of him. Yes, I am, but not a biased one, says Chelsea's finished. Fair enough. You probably have City United players bought in, says Gaurav. Can we do a vote for team of the season? That's a good idea. It definitely is. I wouldn't mind doing that. There's a lot of non-FPL discussion, and to be honest, I embrace it. Let's not talk about Haaland and Gavardio, the sneaky bastards. Let's talk about something else. Nope. You're probably asking Twister Parky, to be fair, but I don't live in Brighton. I've been there a couple of times, went to their stadium, but I live in London. How are you looking for the tie between City Spurs? It's the decider. It's not just that, though. It's United-Arsenal. I think United could turn up and derail Arsenal's hopes. Those are the two main games, but I do agree. If City were to drop points, it would be Tottenham. And maybe not the last 2 times, but in the last year or so, there have been a few occasions where Spurs have awful form, then face Man City and get a result. So it's possible. Oh, actually, I really like Gabriel Heinze, Baked Beans. It might surprise you to learn that he could become the assistant manager of Arsenal. He was in talks with Arteta a few weeks ago. I think it was the weekend where Arsenal played Aston Villa. Gabriel Heinze actually was the manager of my rival's team. And yeah, he didn't do a great job there. I think he did quite well with Godoy Cruz. But yeah, he's still le falta. You know, he still has a long way to go. Welcome, Beardy. Always a pleasure. I can say I'm almost a City fan in 2012 because I really like the way they play attacking football with Yaya Toure, David Silva, Nasri, Dzeko, Tevez. That's fair. I mean, they had a great team back then. Now it's even better. I can never support Man City, to be honest. Chelsea's finish says, choosing between Scholes, Modric, Iniesta, Gattuso, Roy Keane, Beckham is hard. I think Iniesta's the best of the lot, personally. When you're looking at Gattuso and Roy Keane, they're different types of players. They're more defensively minded, but Roy Keane at Forest was actually more offensive. He was a box-to-box, got goals from midfield. Yeah, I'd say Iniesta... I mean, Scholes is really underrated, I think, by a lot of people. He was absolute quality, but Iniesta's my favourite of the lot. I went against Haaland myself, big mistake. So did I. A lot of people in the live chat also the same. Quite surprised, actually. I thought it would be like 90% of the chat saying our captain Haaland, but maybe they're trying to make me feel better, to be fair. There's talks about Osimhen going to join Chelsea next season. Yeah, and like I mentioned in recent streams, Chelsea strikers haven't been great. You know, apart from Diego Costa and Drogba, I can't really think of a striker signing that delivered for Chelsea in a long time. But there's always, you know, a first time, let's put it that way. Dylan has been to the Amex Theatre of Dreams. Yeah, I'm hoping that for the Theatre of the Dreams, the Old Trafford, that doesn't turn into the nightmares. But yeah, Brighton's a good stadium. It is. I actually quite enjoyed that experience, and Brighton won 6-0 against Wolves. But it is what it is, convinced by the environment and ended up supporting Chelsea. Not sure if it's something wrong, but no regrets after all. Yeah, look, and once you support a team, it's very difficult to change. I know some people who have. I can't do that. You know, it's just too much attachment. I can't bring myself to like another team, especially in England. So I'm in my bed. It has been some pain, but overall, there's some good progress being made recently. Who's a better party spoiler, United or Spurs? If I'm being completely honest, I think United are more likely to spoil the party, but it'd be great if Tottenham did Arsenal a favour. That'd be quite banterous, but it means nothing if Arsenal don't win against United and Everton. Borro, Dallo and Jackson for a -4, or Borro, Cucurella and Højlund for no hit. I would probably go for the no hit option. But Jackson's been great recently. I'm from Brighton, born here, spent some years in Milton Keynes. Don't recommend for anyone. Yeah, I haven't heard much about Milton Keynes, but I can imagine. As for Brighton, enjoy it, mate. It's a good place. Would you do Walker to Gvardiol if you had a transfer? No. I think both Walker and Gvardiol are rotation risks in 37. But yeah, it can go either way. Now, if you've got no other fives to put out and it would be for free, it's not the worst transfer because Gvardiol's playing so high up and he's getting attacking returns. He's also getting bonus points in the process, but I don't think it's generally worth that transfer. Which trio do you prefer? For me, it'd be Iniesta, Busquets, Xavi. They're all great trios. There's arguments for every single one of them, but I'd personally go for the Barcelona one. I think that's the best midfield of all time that we've seen. What do you think of Brahim Diaz rumours joining Arsenal next season? I haven't really heard about that. I don't think we'll get him. I think Arsenal need a left centre mid, maybe an attacking midfielder who can play there, but yeah, I personally don't think Diaz will go. I always like Valdivia. Yeah, he was a good player. Probably Chile's most underrated during their 2 Copa wins, but yeah, haven't really heard much about him recently. Obviously, I know he's retired now, but I just haven't heard the name in a long while. What do you think about Jurgen Klopp leaving next season? Will Liverpool still compete at the top? They still can compete at the top, but I personally think there will be an adjustment period, and it might take several years for them to get back to a title challenge. That's the way I see it, but I think Arne Slot could be a good appointment, but I personally don't think they will challenge next season. I think they'll finish 4th or 5th, probably 4th. Heard that Brighton is a good city and pretty clean there. Yeah, I've been a few times. It's a good place. It really is, especially when it's sunny. I can either stick with 9 Double Gameweek players and 6 singles for bench boost 37 or get an 11 of Double Gameweek players with hits. What would you do? I'd take the hits as well, so long as it's not too many hits. I would go for Nesta or Maldini. Yeah, that's also another one. You know, Baresi, Nesta, Maldini. Italy have produced so many great defenders, so I like that. Hi Dylan, how's it going? Isak will be a great addition to Arsenal. He would be, but I just don't see Isak going to Arsenal. Not this summer anyway. Bruno Guimaraes is more likely to move to either Arsenal or City. But yeah, with Isak, I think Newcastle will keep him. Big question, Dylan. What do you think of FFP changes? 5 times bottom team income, etc. To be honest with FFP, I mean, in practice, it's a good idea, but for many years, you've seen clubs like PSG, Chelsea, and Man City kind of, you know, take advantage, especially Chelsea back in the day. So really, I don't have much of an opinion on FFP. I don't think it's done a great job. I don't think there's a level playing field. It's always been like that in football. But yeah, I just don't really have much of an opinion on it. Foden captain, Jackson on the bench. Yeah, I do feel for you, man. I do feel for you. But in FPL, we always get these big ups and downs. You've got to take on the chin. Yep, Jose, I think Ten Hag will be the manager next season. I really do. I think Potter or Flick will take Man United. I think Graham Potter's a good manager. I just think Chelsea ruined his reputation. Hansi Flick was great at Bayern Munich. But I think Ten Hag will stay. Can't wait to watch Never Losing, Bologna, Girona and Villa in the UCL next season. I don't want to be a party pooper or a Grinch, but I personally think most of them will struggle in the Champions League. I could see 2 of them being knocked out in the group stages, especially with a tough draw. I'd be happy to be proven wrong. I want to see some new names in the hat, but well, then again, there is this new format, right? The league format in the group stages. I'll talk about that probably in the summer. But yeah, I think we could see a few teams eliminated pretty early on. 2 free transfers for 37, pinch boost, free hit 38. Okay. Well, your team is pretty well set up already. It's just Maguire who's out with an injury, so I'd definitely replace him. 0.7 million in the bank. I would consider doing Maguire. I mean, you could still go to Dallo, but it requires another downgrade elsewhere. So you've got Jackson. Yeah, you've got a triple up in Chelsea already. That's where the issue comes in terms of finding a downgrade elsewhere to buy Dallo for Maguire, but I think that's probably your best bet. Did I think of one? I mean, I probably could, but it might take me a while. It might even require Bodro to Romero, which isn't ideal, but that could be the best way of making that other transfer for free. What are your views on Ipswich Town in EPL? Are there any players to pick from this team in FPL? I personally am not interested in any of them. From Leicester, I mentioned it the other day, you know, Ricardo Pereira, Jamie Vardy, and Dewsbury Hall. But at the moment, without knowing the prices, of course, that could play a big part, but I'm not interested in any newly promoted club. And I personally think Ipswich and the other promoted team, whether it be Leeds, Southampton, whoever from the playoff, it's very likely that they go down. So I'm not too optimistic about their FPL prospects at the moment. Spurs always seem to get something against City, but defense is so crap. Highline, etc. Can they really keep City out this time? Well, in the FA Cup this season, it took an Ake late winner in the 88th minute to break that goal-scoring curse at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Hopefully that doesn't mean they go on to score a few next week, but you also look at the Etihad where, you know, it was a free draw. So I think Spurs can cause them problems, and City just struggle in that stadium, but yeah, if Mourinho or Conte was the manager, I'd be much more confident in Tottenham getting something. But because Ange Postecoglou isn't really renowned for his defensive tactics, the chances are slimmer. Any guide on buying tickets for international fans? I'm not sure I'm the best person to ask because I'm struggling to get Arsenal tickets, even though I'm local. Arsenal have introduced a balance system, and it's pretty poor. You have to be on like a waiting list, and you kind of get accepted for certain games, and then you pick from the available tickets, and a lot of them are expensive. But yeah, it's very difficult to get tickets nowadays, especially at clubs like Arsenal. Diaz won't go to Arsenal, but I do rate him. Wanted him when at Blackburn. Yeah, no, I don't think Brahim Diaz goes. Who has a good chance to win Ballon d'Or this season? It'll be Bellingham. I think Madrid win the Champions League and Bellingham wins it, but I personally don't think he deserves it, but just my opinion. I have Salah. Would you keep or sell for a hit? I'd sell him to a Foden, a Heung-min Son for Gameweek 37. What's the city to visit as a foreigner then? In England, it probably is London, but, you know, if you like more rural places or, you know, you don't like the cities too much, then of course I'd give a different answer, but it has to be London in the UK. When there's some talk about Newcastle having to sell either Guimaraes, Isak and Botman, yes, but the most likely to be sold is Guimaraes. I think Juninho was an underrated player. Yeah, one of the best free kick takers of all time. That's a good shout. Robertson. Oh, if you have him, fair play. Good stuff. Girona is pretty convincing. That's the thing, though. This season they are. If they lose a few players in the summer, it could be a different story. I personally think they could be like Lens from Ligue 1. You know, they had a great year last time out, and you saw them in the Champions League this time. They were pretty poor. Arshavin is overrated. I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, he's never going to be in an all-time 11, but in his prime, he was a quality player. Very inconsistent, I'd say, and yeah, maybe a very short-lived prime, but I don't think he's overrated or underrated. I just think he was a good player on his day who didn't really have the consistency. Maguire out, actually took him out last second. Yeah, I thought Maguire was a good option for Gameweek 37. It's a shame he's injured. Hopefully he recovers soon, but yeah, good stuff there. You've sorted one problem out for Double Gameweek 37. Yes, I'm still sorry about him scoring 4 at Anfield. I mean, that's his performance, right? And it's a shame it was a draw, but Doesn't matter anyway. How would Diaz get in with Martinelli and Trossard? Well, Brahim Diaz, he can also play as an attacking midfielder, right? Maybe as a left centre mid, but I don't think we'll buy him at all. As a Madrid fan, I'm a little afraid that after signing Mbappe, Rodrigo can be transferred out and he is linked with Arsenal and Liverpool. Honestly, I just don't see it. I think Rodrigo will stay and fight for his place, and he'll still get plenty of game time, right? And Ancelotti can rotate in La Liga and also in Champions League. Sometimes play Rodrigo as a left winger and then have him up front with Vinicius. I think he'll be fine, to be honest. I think Madrid are already stacked, and if they buy Mbappe, oh god, I don't want to watch Champions League next season. I don't. What's up, Dylan? I ended up on 80 points without Haaland as Salah captain. 5% red arrow. Yeah, good score. It's just a shame that everyone seemed to captain Haaland this week. Otherwise, you'd be very happy with it. But yeah, 5% red arrow, all things considered. You also picked a good captaincy option. Good stuff. The walk from the station to the Emirates is one of the best, says Twisted Parky. Oh, so you've been to the Emirates, right? Yeah, it's kind of difficult to get to the Brighton Stadium, isn't it, with the trains? I've heard a lot of people complain about that as well. But I do like the walk to the Brighton Stadium from the train station. Would you go for a -8 or -12 for 15 doublers? Yeah. I wouldn't go too excessive, and there are still some great single gameweek options like Salah and Saka. But yeah, I'd be open to a -8, maybe even a -12 in certain scenarios. If maxed out on City and Spurs, would you still go for Salah? Well, you probably have Palmer already, don't you? When I look at the other midfielders, Bruno Fernandes would be my top pick. So yeah, Salah to Bruno maybe, but apart from that, you could make a case for keeping Salah. Especially for Gameweek 38, where I think he's probably the best captain, if not second. Visit Bristol, says Troma Kid. I've gone by on the train, but I've never stayed. Yeah, I'd like to know more places, not just Bristol, also new countries I haven't been to. Gusto and 8 Nuri, keep or sell? They're sells, especially 8 Nuri. I said this going into the City game and the week before that. If so, sell to whom? Diogo Dalot, Cucurella, even Chalobah could be decent. The plan is obviously to get 15 doublers. How many hits is the limit? Well, it's always subjective, right? It's not like there's a certain cutoff point. Oh, -12 is fine, but don't take a -16. It's just, generally speaking, the more hits you take, the less chance you have of a green arrow. But I think -8, -12 is reasonable in most scenarios, especially -8. Best triple captain for Gameweek 38. I'd say Salah or Haaland. Yeah, one of those two. Thoughts on Girona? Will they be able to play in Champions League as the same owner as City? I think they will, but yeah, I saw something about that. Either way, I don't think they'll do well next season, but I'd be happy to be proven wrong. Jose the Special Mo says have 0.3 in the bank, but it'll be to miss 0.1 to bring Onana and Gvardiol. Maybe other City defenders worth to consider. Well, Kyle Walker, but he's more expensive. Kanji or Ake could be a shout, but yeah, I'm not sure if you can make that work. And will Akanji start both games? Honestly, all Man City defenders are a worry. Dylan, I missed Gameweek 36 deadline. No Haaland and captain. My heart is burning and crying from inside. I wouldn't take it too seriously, man. It's just FPL, and I feel for you, obviously. You know, I'm also frustrated by not captaining Haaland, but it's a massive swing. It's a lot of variance. There's some luck involved, as always, in FPL. You just got to take on the chin. You can still make up what you lost this week in Gameweek 37, so I'd be quite confident still. Your club should make Nwaneri a nice backup like Nketiah and Walters. Nketiah should be sold. Sorry to say it. I mean, I always back him to do well. I want him to, but he's not good enough for Arsenal. But Nwaneri is a top talent. Even Walters deserves some opportunities to see if he's good enough. But yeah, Nketiah has to be sold. Should I buy Petrovic, Branthwaite, Richarlison with a -4, selling Vicario, Maguire, Bruno for 37, Onana, Vicario, Borro, Disasi, Gvardiol, Maguire, Burns, Son, Palmer, Bruno Fernandes, Foden, Gordon, Haaland, Jackson, Isak. Who would you be selling? Oh yeah, Vicario, Maguire, Bruno. I wouldn't sell Bruno Fernandes. I'd keep him. So I'd buy Petrovic and Branthwaite, but I wouldn't sell Bruno to Richarlison. I think that's a major downgrade. That's my personal take on it. If you need to do that to fund the other moves, maybe, but even then, I don't think you need to actually now. Keep Bruno Fernandes. I think he's better than Richarlison. You have the summer bank holiday tomorrow? Yeah, I do. But I'll be doing F1. I'll be doing UCL fantasy videos tomorrow, at least 2 of them, possibly 3. And then on Tuesday and Wednesday, probably a few double and triple recordings for FPL. I'll wait and see how I can structure that, but yeah, bank holiday tomorrow. Do you know how pie-faced is Dylan? Because he's a Plymouth fan and they survived relegation by 1 point. I've heard of him. I've seen some of the memes, but I haven't seen his content that much. What's the best thing to do when traveling to London? Sightseeing, really. There's so much to do. You know, you have all sorts of bars, restaurants, nightclubs. Obviously, you've got the London Eye. You've got the Big Ben. There's a lot of places to go, really. I mean, I'd probably be here all day listing all the things to do in London. As scary as Madrid might look, I don't think they'll link together. It might take some time. They are a good team this year. But I'll be honest, I'm a bit sick of Madrid always winning Champions League. Hopefully Dortmund, something new happens this time round, but I just don't see it. Yeah, been to the Emirates. Luckily, we have always won when I have. Hopefully don't go next year then. One way back, one guy said to my dad, terrible game, wasn't it? He said, I don't know, thought was quite good. As I'm a Brighton fan, we won 2-1. Fair enough, yeah. I mean, I'd say the same thing, to be fair. Last time I went to see Arsenal-Brighton, we lost 3-1, I think, in the Carabao Cup, and I was pissed off that day. Even though I don't rate the Carabao, every trophy is important. Best Gameweek 37 keepers, Petrovic, without a shadow of a doubt, and I'd say Onana. FPL challenge next week is single Gameweek, get double points. Exactly, and I really think that's a great idea. Probably the best one they've had up until now. Sell or keep Gusto to burn for a hit? Oof. Yeah, he did play today, but will he start both games? I don't think so, personally. For a hit, I'd probably keep Gusto. Best differential for Gameweek 37? Captaining Palmer, maybe. Captaining Foden. Let's not go down that avenue again. Best differential. I think Richarlison is a great shout by people. I think Richarlison would definitely be in the equation. Rasmus Højlund would also be another one. Yeah, I'd be going for one of those two, or Bruno Fernandes, actually. I'd say Bruno. Any update on Bruno? I don't think so. I'll double check that for you, but I don't think so, mate. I personally think he's going to play tomorrow. I'll see if anything was said today. Of course, we got the Maguire update, and he's out for a couple of weeks, missing the rest of the Premier League season. But yeah, I don't think there's any updates on Bruno Fernandes, but I'm almost 100% convinced that he's going to play. Ratchet says, my current plan is Salah and Solanke plus Neto plus Abani to Gordon, Haaland, Petrovic and Burn, -12 worth it? I think so, yeah. It's upgrades all round. The only negative is selling Salah, who could be the best option in Gameweek 38, but yeah, -12 is worth it. Also, who to sell, Zabani or Doughty? I'd rather sell Doughty. I think they're both poor options, but Luton Town are awful defensively. Dylan, is Haaland, Foden, KDB better than Gavardio, Foden, KDB, Gameweek 37? Well, definitely. Haaland or Gavardio. I'm going to pick Haaland all day long, but I would make a case for Gavardio being better than KDB. That's what I'd do. Sad to see Royce announce his departure at the end of the season. Yeah, he's been a great servant to Borussia Dortmund. Hopefully they can go off and win in the Champions League, but I don't see it. Yeah, I think Bruno plays. I think lower half table clubs in the rest of the matches will get higher scores, says Garav. Maybe. You could be right about that. I mean, FPL has been surprising this season. Arne Slot looks like Hank from Breaking Bad, if you know how he looks like. Yes, I do. I mean, the bold factor is a big thing, isn't it? But I think he could do well at Liverpool, but it will take some time. As a Madrid fan, I have seen my team winning 5 Champions Leagues. Yeah, obviously, Valverde is talking about matching the Champions League tallies with his shirt number. Come on, man. It's a bit boring. Can't wait to see Bruno burn all of us. Yeah, well, I think he will start tomorrow, and I'm kind of expecting the worst. So, yeah, it's been an awful week for me. Starting Edison over Petrovic, the captaincy was the biggest blow. If I captain Haaland, a green arrow will be secured. I went different and was punished. Would you do burn for a hit? Yeah, HJ, as I mentioned earlier, I wouldn't. Let's see what Twister Parky says. How good do you think Arn will be? Will he slot straight in? Great pun. I was expecting a lot more numbers from Manice. Yeah, he's been a troll for me. I had him for 3 weeks. He blanked every time after having a great month, winning Player of the Month in March. I benched him in Gameweek 34. He got an assist against Liverpool. I sold him in Gameweek 35. He scored. So yeah, I just don't like him. Manise was one of the most troll transfers this season. Yeah, look, he's a budget striker. I've had worse, I think, but yeah, it's not ideal. Fuck him. Dreaming FPL says, hi Dylan, what would you do with this team? 2 free transfers. I'd personally sell Trent, but the biggest concern you have is Maguire. So I would look to do Trent and Maguire out to, let's see, you've got a triple up in City already. Kind of difficult, to be fair, about the defenders. You're not really sport for choice, are you? I think I'd go for Dallo. Trent to Dallo. Trent to Dallo and Maguire to maybe an Arsenal defender. I would consider that. Or you do Edison out to an Onana and then Maguire out for Gvardiol. I think that's probably what I'd do, dreaming FPL, and you can keep Trent, but I just don't see a clean sheet for Liverpool. Might not win the Premier League in his first season, but second maybe. Also, his medical staff is the best. They barely had any injuries to deal with. Yeah, but once again, going back to that point I made a few times in the stream, I think the Premier League scheduling is so tough. It's not like the Dutch League where they're a bit more lenient. You know, if Feyenoord have a Champions League game on Tuesday, Wednesday, they'll give the league game on the Friday to give them plenty of time to rest. So there could be injuries still at Liverpool. Not as many as this year. But yeah, let's wait and see. I personally don't see Slot winning the league anytime soon, but he will be a good appointment. But I do have Burns, so hope he haws. So do I. I'm a bit gutted that in the last few minutes, the clean sheet was wiped out. Dylan, first time here. This is a really good channel, mate. Good job. Thank you very much, HJ. With Gusto. Yeah, I personally would keep him, you know, in this case, because I don't see Newcastle keeping a clean sheet and taking a -4 hit when Gusto has better fixtures. I think he starts one game and is benched in the other. You probably stick with Gusto there. So yeah, good advice to Sapaki. Yeah, I think we're in agreement on that matter. So yeah, pretty much that's all covered. If you've got any more questions, all of that, leave them in the comment section down below. Courage says Trent. Yeah, I personally would sell him if possible, but I think the biggest priority is selling Maguire. And Trent could do something against Villa from a free kick or an attack and return. Dylan, I think teams playing for something to win are important for the rest of the 2 game weeks if they're single game week options like Arsenal, Man City, Tottenham, Villa, UCL spot, etc. Your thoughts? Well, yeah, but the thing is, City and Tottenham have doubles. Arsenal are still great, but I think Man United away, I always looked at that game as the most difficult after Man City away, Liverpool at home, and then maybe Tottenham away. But yeah, looking at the fixtures in this calendar year, United away was always one of the ones I looked at and thought, that is going to be very tough. But Arsenal can do it. They've done it at the Etihad, or at least they got a decent result. Yeah, they've been very good this year, especially away from home. Pep, Ten Hag and Slot Breaking Bad about hit different in the Premier League next season. Yeah, I haven't seen Breaking Bad in 9 years now. It's like the first amazing show I watched on that level. Yeah, it's one of my favourite shows of all time, but I think it has dropped in my rankings a little bit. Arsenal Prem title next season. Yeah, I think if they don't win it this year, they've got a great chance of doing it next season, but I want to win it now. I'm greedy. Man City have already dominated the league a lot. It's time for some new change. Time for change, time for a new winner, and for the league not to be a farmers' league, but I think I'm asking for a lot there. I have no hopes in West Ham, Fulham and Tottenham, to be honest, but you never know. Thank you to those that have tuned in today. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's try to get this video to over 100 likes and let's keep on pushing towards 25k subscribers and beyond. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the other links in the description below for my Patreon, channel memberships, Discord server, the FPL League, FPL Challenge, Draft Town. Become a pro paid member there and gain access to so many great tools. And also check out Spotify and Amazon Music. Leave a 5-star review on my podcast and follow me on those platforms. It'd be greatly appreciated, as always. Yeah, hopefully Punjabi, but yeah, the run in December has been costly. Dropping points to Fulham at home against 10 men after being 2-1 up. I always said that those 2 points could come back to haunt us, and it could well be the case. Thank you, Courage. Twister Parky says, people are too down on Arteta. His figures show he has done very well. Yeah, he has spent a lot of money, but people do remove a lot of context when it comes to Arteta. For example, when he won the FA Cup, he spent £0 on transfers. He didn't make a single transfer, in fact. He did a great job when he first joined. He He had a really rough patch around 2021. Should have been sacked, arguably, based on results, but Arsenal stuck with him, and he's done great things, but let's see if he can get over the line in the Premier League and Champions League. Thank you, Chelsea is finished. Thank you to Stepaki, HJ, and Waysing. It's a pleasure talking to all of you, and there is more FPL and UCL Fantasy content to come over the next week. Tomorrow, I'll be recording the UCL Fantasy videos and podcasts, the best limitless team potentially, best wildcard team, and the team selection. And on Tuesday, we've got another deadline stream for UCL Fantasy. I'll see you very soon. I hope you do very well in FPL and all the other fantasy formats, and I'll see you next time.